Hello, friends, and welcome to my channel. This is a podcast where I share my insights. And today, I'm talking about becoming more disciplined. And perhaps maybe you're noticing it's time for you to become more disciplined. And in order for us to understand what's happening, we may need to redefine the word discipline, which has in it the word disciple, which means follow. So stick around and we're going to talk about a new way to see discipline and how it's not punitive, but that it is an awakening in you that is leading you to your heart's desires. Stick around. A lot of us may be under the impression that discipline is a way of taking charge of your life, but not in the way that the ego might have come to understand discipline, which means self-control. And self-control to the conditioned mind means suppression, force, which would imply that one is gritting through their teeth, right? I'm going to control it. We do all sorts of things to try to control worry, addictions, other people, and our situations, all in the name of being so-called disciplined. That's taking a hard-nosed approach, which is merely accentuating the agitated mind and the sense of one-upmanship, if you will. And true discipline takes a different approach, one of letting go, and one of being a disciple, of following. What you're doing is following the nature of movement that's happening in you. If you clicked on this video because you're interested in discipline, there's going to be ideas that resonate with you because they will be contradictory to your previous assumptions about discipline in general. And so you're intrigued because this information sounds new to you. But it's ancient wisdom that you are being introduced to for the first time, seemingly. But this is just a way of remembering your truth. So what are we following? We're following a very deep call within our true self. You have been nagged by your mind, agitated, and your temperament is getting the best of you. You can't control your temper, your outbursts, your addiction, and you're wondering, how do I gain a power over my impulses and my compulsions? Well, you don't. What you're doing is noticing something that's happening. You're noticing a movement in you. A slow movement from the agitated mind to the yearning of the heart. There's a prod, if you will, a yearning, a wondering, whereby you were bothered by the mind. And now there is a deeper part of you that is calling. And so you're moving into that depth which speaks to you. Your heart speaks to you. But exactly in the same way that your mind does, except you're more obedient to it. You comply with it. In many ways, you restrain your behavior from this higher depth, which is the way I would describe the movement from the pea brain to the softness of the heart. And the dominant of those two will prevail. And I believe that the heart will eventually be the dominant of those two conflicting sources of information, which both originate from the same. And this is the shift that you may have heard people talk about. And I'm really just diving into what that is. You may have heard people say the shift in consciousness, or the awakening, or the enlightenment, or seeing from the light, or being the light, or moving towards the light. There's so many ways of describing this phenomenon. I like to think of it in terms of discipline. So what we're trying to do is to listen to what I call the human whisperer. Cesar Millan is the dog whisperer, so we can relate, particularly those of you who love dogs and have had to tame them from their conditioned state. Dogs naturally are greedy in a way. They want it now. They over-dramatize their excitement. When a new person comes, they just feel like they can just maul them with affection. You can just jump on me and lick me, and in my case, my dog kind of nips. That's her way of showing affection, but we cannot reward that kind of conditioned behavior. So she has to be disciplined, right? So any loving owner would not reward her until she exhibits, as Cesar Millan tells us, the calm and submissive state. So you are being beckoned by the calm, submissive state. That's you, okay? So we're going to connect to the parent in us. This is the part of you that knows better when you're smoking. Oh, I know better. Or when you're scrolling, that seems like a small voice saying, get off the phone, get off the phone. Or when you're eating those chips and vegging in front of Netflix and you say, oh, this is not what you want. It's a faint thing. And in some people, it's so inert. It's so dormant. There is absolutely no hearing it because there's too much noise in the individual who is attracted to the conditioned state. So the conditioned state is all of the shiny objects in the so-called outer realm. It's a complete preoccupation with noise and stuff. And you're excited about it. In the same way that a dog is excited about Chinese takeout on the table, and they, when you turn your back, they take it off the table and gobble it up. Eat the whole thing. And you fuss, and tell them, oh, that we don't do that. We don't dig in the trash. We don't poop in the house. Right? So you're noticing the conditioned state getting the best of you when you're interested in a talk like this. So what we do with dogs is we remove all of the shiny objects, all of the new people, and we simplify their environment so they can practice being rewarded for their calm, submissive state. And that's what Cesar Millan does. Is demonstrates how we do things. This is how we do things in a civilized way, in a disciplined way. It makes for a happier home. It makes for a happier life when you understand what I'm trying to get you to understand is that there is an unconditioned state that is emerging in you. And that is brought on not by controlling your temperament, but allowing your temper to be short-wicked. Or allowing your cravings to subside before you jump on the table and eat all the Chinese takeout. Or that you understand that the universe, you could put it in this term, the universe will reward you when you're disciplined. Now, some of us are semi-disciplined. In the same way that my dog is kind of semi-disciplined now. I've had her now 8 or 9 months. Still working. Excuse me. Or we have to sit. But she'll sit and she gets fidgety and she can't sit still. We really need to sit and observe the conditioned state going. There's still enthusiasm, but we don't grab, right? We don't just dominate people. We exhibit a certain amount of respect and distance. We can still love, right? Molly's still, my little dog over here, she's still, she loves treats so much, but she's trying to allow the agitated state to dissipate faster every single time because she's noticing, that part of the brain is noticing, if I become calm and submissive, I get all kinds of goodies. And that's all you're noticing. And you will place restrictions on yourself. In the same way that you place restrictions on your dog. The dog has to follow you. The dog has to walk at your pace. The dog has to adjust to your schedule. There is a parent in you. Jesus called it the Father. The Buddha called it I am awake. A lot of people call it their higher self, their sovereignty, their more intelligent, creative mind, the universe. It's you. Fundamentally, it is you that knows better. And that part of you is getting more and more in your face. Because you're realizing, I'd love to have goodies. I'd love to be successful. I'd love to have treats that seem to just come to people who are exhibiting a non-aggressive behavior. Now, there are people in the world that do exhibit aggressive behavior and they gobble up everything. And that's all right. Let that teach. They're being taught. We don't do that. We just don't. The conditioned state has run amok. And the unconditioned state is beginning to awaken. It doesn't seem that way, but in the world at large, it seems like everybody's crazy. But if you come more into the stillness and the local part of you, you understand what I'm talking about, right? You are losing your preoccupation with the shiny things that people are chasing. The greed, the aggression, the gotta habits, the must-haves, the bully. That's not the way we think about discipline, is it? Being a bully. It's, again, the human whisperer, that getting in touch with that stillness within you that knows better. And as you begin to practice in simple environments, like your own home, for example, or if you have to, go outside and be alone where there's no distractions, no phone, and practice getting into that calm, submissive state. When I say submissive, you have to understand I'm not talking about letting people do anything they want to you. That's not. Submissive is waiting, taking the time to pause, knowing when you're full, like when you're eating, if you're paying attention, noticing when you've been satisfied, rather than gobbling up your food, not even tasting or enjoying it, gobbling up tons of information online. A lot of this is about, imagining what your dog would do to the house if left unattended, undisciplined, untrained. She would destroy it and she'd eat everything. Dogs have to be, the brain has to be monitored. The temperament is what I'm after here. So right now, what you're trying to figure out and how to become more disciplined is to start noticing your temperament, right? When you start to get agitated at the grocery store, you start to get agitated when your spouse speaks to you, or you get agitated when you look at your body in the mirror, or you get agitated with yourself for eating all those potato chips, or you get agitated for yourself for not doing something. Agitation is not rewarded. So we have to have time out. We have to discipline ourselves. We have to do without. And I suggest strongly fasting, meditation, taking things away from yourself, taking yourself out of complex environments so that you can simmer, calm, and show yourself that you are the master of your domain, meaning you can maintain peace within yourself. You are okay despite your finances, despite your relationships, all of that. We are trying to show ourselves in a disciplined state that we do not follow what's out there. We follow this sense that priority is the temperament. That's it. How's your temperament? I'm agitated, I'm irritated, I'm bored, I'm frustrated. Okay, you are like an untrained dog. I'm not trying to insult you, but you understand. Your cravings are getting the best of you. Your excitement is getting the best of you. Your emotions are getting the best of you. And we need to figure out how to not dominate, but to reign from on high in a peaceful, submissive, and calm state. And that would require you to trust a lot of things that appear out of your control. That is until you realize none of it's in your control. None of it. And that's totally relinquishing yourself as this autonomous individual and giving yourself over to your higher nature, complying with it and submitting to it. And you have to decide what that is. You can call it God, whatever, but essentially it is you deep inside yourself. That you are a disciple of this loving, calm, submissive presence. And you know, unruly dogs are annoying. You don't want to jump on people. Go after all these innocent people like a dog attacks an animal just for the hell of it. You can't. You have to understand diet, health, recreation, fun. These are all, you can have fun. Just like we play when there's playtime. And we keep the temperament calm and submissive. And everybody's happy. It makes for a better environment when we're calm and submissive. We listen to the human whisperer, this stillness within us. We simplify our environments and we do some training on our temperaments. Your temperament is most likely your greatest problem if you're interested in discipline. But not like Marine Sergeant discipline. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the abusive tendency to grab and hoard, to fear, to not give in to the fear, but to sit there when things get a little tempting and to get in that calm and submissive state, and your reward will be an idea. If you're struggling with your finances, you got discipline, your spending and all that. All right, so this is about being calm and submissive so you can figure out a good plan to get out of debt or whatever the case may be. The resourcefulness in you is being blocked by a petulant temperament. I promise you that the root of all of your frustration and suffering is simply just not being aware of how we do things. So you got to relate yourself. The conditioned state you can get out of, but it is like a withdrawal period. It's like realizing, okay, I have an addiction to the outside world. I have an addiction to control. I have addiction to things. I've been too preoccupied with the conditions. What I'm looking for is the unconditioned state, which is always available to me, which rewards me when I become calm and submissive, compliant and obedient. I can have all the treats I want. But also, we want to discipline ourselves with the number of treats we get, too. We don't need 50 treats. One is good for now. One good idea is good for now. One good reward as it comes is fine. The goodies in life will come as the master decides to give them to you. And that's you. You're the master of your domain. It's hard to really recognize that we shepherd ourselves, parent ourselves, lead ourselves. And when the calm, submissive state, the unconditioned state, becomes more prevalent in you, you will start listening to your heart, which is soft and gooey, and the mind will follow. That's the discipline, that the flesh follows the master. And the master is the unconditioned state, which honors calm and submissive, obedient, trained, and it makes for a better household. Everybody's happy in the house. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, whatever it is, flesh, body, mind, soul, everybody's happy in the house when the master has his or her way. And how is that way? Calm, submissive, loving, playful, patient. We check our temperament at the door before we expect to receive a damn thing. My name is Ryan Hebert. Hope you enjoyed these insights on discipline. Please check out my blog. It's called mymorningmotivator.com.